Okay, well, today we're going to go through clarifying Canvas and tips for supporting your RISE student and how to use just best practices and accessing things in Canvas so that you know what's going on for your student and how you can help and support them along the way. Our goal as a RISE team is really to help students in those middle school years where they're growing out of some of the more dependent phase of being really dependent on their parents for all that guidance and stuff in their schooling, moving toward that independent level of like we're in high school and we're doing things on our own. And we know that every student really needs like varying levels of accountability depending on their unique development. And so we really want to give you the tools that you need in order to have the insight into what's going on for them, knowing that the tools that you pick and choose from this toolkit are going to be unique to you and to your child, depending on how independent they're ready to be, what level of accountability they might need, and that might change from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, or the grade that they're in. That can vary. So just as we go through these different tools, just kind of pick out the things that seem like they're going to work best for you. The place to start is by logging in to Canvas regularly. And we found that people say when they're doing it a couple times a week, that's kind of the sweet spot where they're really able to get a frequent enough view of how things are going without it being, overwhelming to be having to do that every day. So logging into Canvas, you can do a couple different ways as a parent. You can log in as your student. I do this for my own student. I know her student ID and I know her email, and so I log in as her in her account, and she knows that that's something that I'm doing, so that I can kind of check up on her progress and her grades. You can also set up an observer account as a parent. They're just two different ways of viewing essentially the same things. If you don't currently have an observer account set up and you'd like to do that, you can email tcsclass-reg@cottonwoodk12.org in order to get that set up for you. And I will show you what it looks like, whether you have that parent observer account or the student account, the different ways to view progress for your student. So first, we're just going to kind of look at where you can see just a general overview of grades for your student in each of their classes. This is the view if you are in your parent observer account. So when you click here at this dashboard, it will show you this drop-down menu, and you'll see your own name and you'll also see your student name. And if you have multiple students, you'll be able to see them both. And that might be the advantage of having that parent observer account if you don't already, is that you can toggle back and forth between multiple students if you have them. So if you click on the student name, you'll be able to see your student's dashboard. This will kind of give you like just an at a glance of assignments that they have that are coming up. And you can click into any of those assignments for more details. But in order to view their grade overview, just hitting this little grade book icon here will take you to, will pop out this grade overview here so you can see what their grades are in each of their classes currently. Clicking on any of those particular classes will take you into more detail, and I'll show you that in just a second. So if you do that pop out and you see those grades and they're all looking great and you don't want to look further, that's totally cool. And if you are looking at those grades and you're feeling like I need more information, we're going to go through how to view what assignments are missing, assignments that may have been submitted but they haven't been graded yet, and how to view what happened if your assignments have low scores and you need to look at the teacher's feedback. So sometimes it may happen that your student feels like, I think I submitted that assignment, but the teacher hasn't graded it yet, and that's why there's still a 0. So as a parent, I know I want to know, did that assignment actually get submitted? There's a few different ways to tell. In your this is the view if you are signed in as your student, and this is also the view that you'll get when you click on any of those particular classes where we were seeing the different grades. It will show you a view that looks like this. So you can see that you can change the student name if you have multiple students. You can choose this drop down to view different grading periods or different classes. But essentially what you're able to see in this view is the assignment name, the due date of the assignment, the submitted timestamp of the assignment, the status, whether it's missing or late perhaps, and the score, and then there's other icons here that we'll talk through. So if your student has submitted that assignment, then there will be a timestamp for that submission. If there's no timestamp, then that indicates that that assignment has not yet been submitted. Another way you can tell if the assignment is missing is that there's a 0 grade here. And that means that the teacher uh, did grading for that assignment, but your student's assignment wasn't there. And so they received a 0 score for that until they do it. There may also be a missing stamp here that indicates that assignment is missing. So if there's a 0 grade and there's a timestamp, then that would tell you that student has submitted it. But if there's no timestamp, that's a good indicator that thing is still missing. So knowing if the assignment is actually submitted, but it hasn't been graded yet by the teacher, again, it's going to have the timestamp. There will also be a little indicator here that shows what was submitted. So a little doc will show that a doc was turned in. Depending on the type of assignment, there may be different things the teacher requires. And so these little things are just indicators for you that something was actually turned in. So if an assignment receives a low grade and your student wants to know why, or you want to know more about why, you can use these icons here to help you learn more information. So the little chat bubble one is going to give you, when you click that, it's going to pop this out with, they'll have feedback that was given by the teacher. So this student received feedback by the teacher that tells them, here's what I want you to do on your next attempt. It might give you more information about why that grade was received so that you know what you need to work on with your student and encourage them to do before they turn it in a second time. A lot of assignments use rubrics. Not everyone does, but some do. And so if an assignment has this clipboard icon, then that means there's a rubric attached to the assignment that you can look at for specific details on why different points are awarded. This one in particular is a participation score. And so you can see points were awarded for being present, but points were not awarded for being having a camera on in class. So a couple things to know about participation grades specifically. Students receive participation grades in every one of their classes. It's 3 points, and this is the same across all RISE classes in all grades. The 3 points are for attendance on time, having cameras on, and being active in participating in their class. And this can mean, it may mean they were active in their discussion group. It might mean that they entered content into the Nearpod in order to answer questions. Depending on the class, there may be different ways for students to engage, but teachers have different markers for how they know a student is participating, and so that's one of the points for participation for the day. The other thing that you might want to know about is late work. Students who have a 0 in an assignment because it's missing, they can still turn that assignment in, and that late work will be accepted until the end of the grading period. We're currently in quarter 3. The grading period ends March 7th, and so as long as a student turns it in by March 7th, they can still get credit for that work. Depending on their grade level, there may be deductions taken off for how late the assignment is. We don't implement that in 6th grade as we know they're still kind of getting in the habit of turning in work on time, but as they increase in grade level, we do start adding deductions to help students remember like that timeliness really does matter. So here, now that you kind of have some tools for how to have that overview and oversight into what's happening in Canvas, let's talk through like how you can be a support system for your student as they're in RISE. A regular check-in is really helpful, and some students find this helpful to happen with their parent or with their HST or both. And you know your student, you know your relationship with them and with their HST, and so this may be a conversation that you have with your teacher. But having a regular check-in helps a student know that there's that accountability present, that somebody's aware of what's happening for them, and that somebody's going to be checking up on them. You can also stay in the know with the RISE newsletter. So that comes into your inbox every other Thursday, and teachers provide an overview of what's happening in class. And so as I read that as a parent, I'll often check in with my kiddo and say, looks like you have a project that's coming up in this class. Tell me how that's going for you. How are you doing with preparing and planning for that? And again, that just helps her to know that I know what's going on. It provides that kind of check-in accountability where she knows that I'm aware of things for her, that I'm going to be asking those questions. And that just kind of helps keep that accountability for her. If your student is in need of some extra help from their teacher, or if you're feeling like they need accountability to stay on track, homework help on Mondays at 1 is has every RISE teacher present. And so that's a great opportunity to send your student to go and get some help from a specific teacher or from multiple teachers. And then every teacher has office hours. They're posted on our Canvas homepages as well as in the RISE newsletter with the time of the office hours and the links. Some students may be encouraged by their RISE teacher to attend on a regular basis because we know that they need that extra practice. And so all of that information is there in the RISE newsletter for you to find. Also encourage your student to spend time on Pear Deck if they need an extra help with something on an ongoing basis, or if they just are needing help with a specific assignment or a specific task. Pear Deck is free on Clever for all students. They can access it at any time, and it offers tutoring help for any subject. So that's a great resource if your student is needing a little bit of extra help in any particular area. And then another strategy that some parents have found to be really helpful for a student who's needing extra accountability to stay on top of their tasks, their time management, is creating some kind of weekly to-do list. Here's an example of one that I created for a student that I was working with, where we just, at the start of the week, list out, here are the tasks that I see that you have in Canvas this week. And that gave that student the opportunity to really take a look at the week at a glance, so that he could say, okay, here's how I'm going to map out these specific tasks. Here's how I'm going to tackle these things. We added office hours in to the list for him, so he knew which days and times he needed to attend, and that was really helpful for keeping him on track. In order to make an assignment list like that, the best way to see assignments that most of your RISE teachers are going to encourage you to view this is going to be to look in the modules for the class. So when you're signed in as your student, or you can see this in the parent view also, if you click on modules, you'll be able to see what assignments are assigned each week, and they will have due dates listed on them here, and they're typically listed like in the order for the week. So that way you can start the week with, here's a good running glance of the things that are going to be coming up this week. The advantage of looking at assignments in the modules is that you can see everything there, including things that are resources but not necessarily assigned, but they are resources that are available to support the assignments. So teachers do encourage students to go in through this module view, because then you can see everything set up in the order that the teacher wants the student to provide and access, so that they have what they need for a successful week. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is work samples. I know a lot of students, when they get a request for a work sample from their HST, they're not really sure, how do I find that? Where do I go? So at any time you can look, or your student can look for an assignment that's titled work sample in the assignment titles. If you look at that module view again and scroll through what's happening in the next few weeks, you'll be able to see one that's marked with that work sample in the title. These are samples that were selected by RISE teachers in order to be things that we knew would be easy for you to either download as a PDF, share as a Google Doc, or send a picture of to your HST in order to be easily shared. So that is all I have for you today. Feel free to reach out with any questions at any time to the rise@cottonwoodk12.org, where we are eager to support you.